this medal here is a bronze medal from the Sydney Olympics, and we lost the gold medal by 0.29%. It's not a lot. The funny thing about sport and my life today is 1 second doesn't matter anymore. You know, literally 1 second makes no difference. You know, I turned up here, I was well ahead of time. But you know, if I was a second earlier or later, it makes no difference. Anyway, that's just a concept that I sort of, you know, struggle with to understand that my life was once that. And so anyway, so this is bronze. I would have liked it to have been gold, but on that particular day we raced a man called Stephen Redgrave. Anyone heard of Sir Stephen Redgrave? Are you British, are you? Okay, I won't talk to you anymore. Okay, anyway, so you would know your great countryman, Sir Stephen Redgrave. You're awake, all right. Well, at least you're rewarded for that. I'm glad it worked out well for you. So he beat us that day by 1.37 seconds, and he won his 5th Olympic gold medal. 5 in a row. He started in '84. He had one little blemish where he won a bronze medal. I think it was the Seoul Olympics where he actually rode the men's pair, and he rode the coxless pair straight after. He won the coxless pair, but he lost the cox pair, so he came 3rd in that. But other than that, between that race, he was beaten 3 times in his entire career, from '84 through to 2000. Greedy, right? Yeah. No, he should have retired. He said he was going to retire after '96. But anyway, you like to race the best, and it's nice to be able to say that you raced him, and we beat him once, but we couldn't beat them this day. But what a resilient person he is. You know, he's diabetic, dyslexic, but a phenomenal individual. Okay, in preparation for this race, we knew what we were up against. And at the '99 World Championships, we actually came 2nd, once again to Sir Stephen and his crew. Matthew Pinson as well, 4-time Olympic gold medalist now. So we came 2nd to those guys by 1.57 seconds. So we actually did improve that margin, you know, by 0.2 of a second. But what we did to, in the end, gain that 0.2 was just nothing short of staggering. I mean, we literally had 2 prototype boats made for us. We had these hydrodynamically designed fins. We had rudders that were cast out of, you know, marine-grade stainless steel and perfect foil shapes. We changed the rig on our boat. Basically, that means we changed the biomechanical setup. We innovated doing all sorts of different things like measuring brainwave patterns, trying to, you know, in those days, you didn't take peptides to try and release more growth hormone. There is a way that you can, you know, stimulate different brainwave patterns which will produce the effect of helping your body recover faster by releasing these growth hormones. So we would experiment with those things, and we would do this stuff. There was nothing, literally nothing, zero, nothing that we didn't do to try and go a little bit quicker. And for a lot of that time, especially when we changed the setup on the boat and innovated all of these things, not only did we not go quicker, we actually went. So the equivalent of potentially 10 steps back. And so when you go from being a really high-performing team to suddenly just being literally pathetic, when you get into the boat and it flops from side to side, and then you start arguing, right? Because that's what we did. Started arguing and fighting, and people not doing their jobs properly, and role differentiation, and not being clear on what people are doing anymore. That was our life for literally 6 months. And we made a few choice points, little turning points there where our coach would say to us, this is ridiculous, we are not making progress. We're putting you guys back to the way you were. But by that point in time, we've almost come too far. You know, and we're faced with the prospect of we either have to make this happen and get ourselves back on track, or it's literally going to be a disaster for our crew. Now, it's just sport, I know, but you put a lot of effort into it. It's your whole life, basically, for a period of time. And 2 weeks before the Olympics, we were at a training camp in Bundaberg, and we did a time a fraction of a second quicker than what we'd ever done before. And so now when I look back on this, and I don't have the conversations with my coach anymore, but because what's that, 2000, it's 2013 this year. But so probably 3 years ago, we stopped having these conversations, which is a good thing, right? Because I've gotten over it. So has he. We literally don't have to talk about it anymore, but that's 10 years. Okay, so some things are hard to come to terms with. But we had that conversation. We used to have, well, what should we have done? Should we have just kept things the way they were? Should we have tried to innovate? Should we try to change all of these things in the hope that... But we didn't realise or understand the level of discomfort that was going to occur in the position that we were going to be in. You know, in trying to go just this tiny little bit quicker. But you know what? That's what sport is about. True? Okay? That's what your jobs are about too. You know, if you talk to someone who is massively depressed, the one thing that they'll often talk to you about is the fact that they feel like I'm stuck in this rut. I don't feel like I'm making progress. I don't feel like I'm getting better each day. Okay, so we have a basic human need to try to be a little bit better each and every single day. The thing that, like, I was at a choice point after being devastated at winning a bronze medal, and I'm not proud of that. You know, I'm glad the cameras weren't, you know, on all of the athletes back in 2000 like they were in, you know, London, where every little reaction that you get as soon as you get off the water or out of the pool or anything else is caught in that moment of complete vulnerability. And that's pasted in terms of how you are and who you are as a person. It's not fair. So I remember being devastated about that and thinking, why row anymore? And for 2 years I didn't. I kept fit doing other things and started doing a lot of work with other people and trying to help as much as I could. And the one thing that brought me back to rowing is I remember having a conversation with Wayne Bennett. I was watching the Broncos a lot at the time. And he said, so what are you doing with your rowing? And I said, well, I'm sort of waiting for my motivation to come back. Thinking that it's something that you have, that I could pick it up off the shelf and there it would be. Anyway, he's succinct, right? Okay. And he just said, don't wait too long, it may never show up. And it dawned on me that I actually needed to create it. You know, I needed to find it again in myself, nowhere else. And I started turning up at the rowing shed again. And the thing that really got me interested and back involved is the fact that here I was with an uncommon group of people who were aspiring to be as good as they could be every single day. Who were chasing the 0.1%ers. And I wanted to be in that crowd, and that's basically what drew me back into the sport.